Welcome to T Boys TV. We are back again with another Hat Show. The last Hat Show, could potentially, most likely, of us in the Premier League. As we all know, we have to have a massive, massive margin and hope that Forest don't win, which is very unlikely. So, yeah, as it says in the title, especially if you're a Luton fan, let's just enjoy this. It's been a good season. Whatever does eventually happen. You have got to take things into account, stuff like that. But I won't go through all that because obviously we did that in the last one. I'm sure we'll do it when we do a lot of season roundup stuff and that sort of thing. But yeah, two guests with me today. Like always, my dad. How are we, Dad?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Excellent.
Good, good. And for the second time, we've got Stephen on the channel again from the Fulhamish pod. Thank you again for coming on. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm cracking. It's good to see you both, boys. Back for the away leg and raring to go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So Fulham, last game of the season, as we all know, the positions, like I say, we have to win by a heavy margin and hope that Forest don't win against Burnley. As for Fulham, the highest they could finish this season, depending on other results that day, is 12th. They're on 44 points now. They could go above Crystal Palace potentially, Wolves, depending on what they do. With that, and to be fair, looking at the fixtures, I think if they were to get a win at Kenilworth Road, they could have a good opportunity to do that. Because I know Wolves have got Liverpool away, Palace have got Villa at home. I mean, Villa have secured Champions League now, though, so could be a bit different there. But when it comes to insight going into this game, Luton are winless in their last six league games against Fulham, drawing two, losing four. Though both draws in that run have been in their last two home meetings uh, against Fulham. Following their 1-0 win in a reverse fixture, Fulham are looking to complete their first league double over Luton since the 1953 to 54 campaign. Since their return to the Football League in 2014, Luton have only lost their final league game in one of their 9 seasons, winning 6, drawing 2, going down 3-1 at QPR in 2020 to 21. Fulham haven't won their final league game in any of the last 6 seasons, drawing 1, losing 5, since beating Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 in 2016 to 17. And then the last one on this section, barring a big goal swing between themselves and Nottingham Forest, Luton will be relegated back to the Championship. The Hatters have scored 50 Premier League goals this season. In a 20-team campaign, only Middlesbrough, which was 51 in 1996 and 97, Blackpool, which was 55 in 2010 to 11, and Leicester, 51 as well, like Middlesbrough in 2022 to 23, which was obviously last season, have scored more in a season they were relegated. So again, that's another factor, for us that you've got to take into account. We were up there consistently scoring goals. Even in the recent defeat we had to Wolves, I think we were up there with Liverpool when it comes to consistently scoring. So again, that's another thing you got to look at, and be proud of in that sense. But yeah, a bit more about Fulham. Fulham cannot finish lower than 14th this term after accumulating 44 points going into the final day of the season. The visitors have kept a clean sheet in their last 2 Premier League away games, having conceded in their previous 12 in a row on the road. Pereira has created 84 chances in the Premier League and has provided 7 goals this season, the highest assist tally of his career so far. Fulham haven't won their final league game since 2017 when they beat Sheffield Wednesday, like I said earlier. As for us, team news going into it, Ross Barkley and Reece Burke will both be unavailable for the final game of the season. Both players were obviously substituted before the end of Saturday's defeat at West Ham and have not passed the medical test this week. Well, I know Rob Edwards is keen to try and keep hold of Ross Barkley. I mean, if we had him in the Championship, that would be, phenomenal. You look at, Townsend will be part of it as well. He hasn't really played recently a lot, when it comes to starting. But, to have them players in the Championship would be absolutely phenomenal. But be interesting. I mean, I think it's one of them. If a good offer comes in, then it's sort of hard to reject, isn't it? Especially with how good he's been and that type of thing. But if we can keep hold of him, I'll be very confident going into next season, that we can come back straight back up, to be honest, and maybe finish in the automatics. And then obviously Reece Burke, that's a bit of a blow. Obviously he's not been the best in my opinion the last couple of weeks, but again, we've only got 2 centre backs now as it stands, and we've had a lot of 2s, 1s, none at times. So that is a bit annoying in that sense. But again, we know he can be quite injury prone as well, which is a bit of a blow at times. So yeah, but Stephen, what's your team news looking like? Injury news and stuff like that?
Yeah, actually, we're a bit short at the back because Issa Diop got that red card against Man City when we got absolutely pummeled last week. I was not a comfortable watch, and City are just a terrifying animal, aren't they? Right now, I mean, there's Premier League quality, and then there's just these top teams that are in a world of their own, and just competing with them is bonkers. So, so Diop got that red card. He was kind of put in when we found out that Tosin isn't signing a new contract for us. So you've got the likes of Newcastle and Man United kind of swooping in for him on a free, which is a massive shame to let him go on a free. Really good talent. But we got him for 3 million a few years ago. So it was good business. But other than that, the rest of the team's looking pretty good, other than Sasa Lukic, who's one of our centre midfielders. But Harrison Reed will drop in for him, or the player Iwobi in the middle. So quite a strong side. I also heard that Bert Leno isn't going to Euros because of a shoulder problem. I don't know if that's an immediate issue and Rodak will be in goal, or whether that's a long-term thing. He needs to have some surgery or something. So according to Fantasy League, he hasn't got the big red exclamation mark, so he might be in goal tomorrow. But equally, it'd be great to see. I think there might be a small amount of rotation tomorrow because there's some very good players that haven't had the opportunity to play. Players like Tim Ream, who started the first kind of third of the season, had an injury.
Good player.
I remember you said that last time, Dad. Yeah, players to watch out for in each times. I remember that, and you said you highly rate him.
He's one of my favourites. He's 35 now. He had an injury, lost his place. Bassi came in. He was an absolute monster, really good player, and naturally Ream then went to the bench. But you never know. For a lot of Luton and Fulham players, you don't know when it's the last time you're going to be seeing a player, and at the end of the season, let's face facts, 8 or 10 of those players on that pitch probably won't be in our clubs next season. So you've got to try and appreciate the good moments with the best players, haven't you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just my personal opinion, I did watch the Fulham versus Man City game with my stepdad. And the weird thing is, I don't know if it was because, he's a former West Ham player, obviously my stepdad's a West Ham fan, but I actually thought up until that red card he was all right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was pretty decent in the game.
I did the Fulham player ratings, and I oh mate, I was absolutely dissing Diop. I thought there's a point. I can't remember what I called it. I said it's a sloppy Diop or something. I just think, like, looking back, he did well at stopping Haaland, right? Because physically as a defender, he's unreal, but on the ball, he could just make really sloppy mistakes, and he's just a bit slow. And like when I watched the goals back, it's just lack of reaction time, and the red card wasn't great. So there were elements of his game. If you stop Haaland, then yeah, that's pretty successful. But there's just something not quite right there, and it wasn't a great signing for Fulham at 20 million, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. However, like you say, someone like Bassi, that was a really good signing. When you guys done that, I was like, fair play, because it's a very good player, and you've seen it, in a lot of games he's been very, very good, hasn't he, and that type of thing. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Dad, what do you think of the Ross Barkley, Rob Edwards wanting to keep him? What do you make of that stuff?
Yeah, well, like I say, I think Rob Edwards is going to say that anyway, and we'd like to keep him, obviously, but in previous interviews he has stated that he wants to, try and get back into the England setup and play European football and stuff, and then so I think if someone in the European places come in for him, like someone like Villa, for instance, who've got so they can rotate and stuff, because I don't think he'd start every game, but he has been really, really good in the midfield, bar the last few games for us. So it's a big decision for him, isn't it? And I think it's one of the biggest of his career. He'll be torn because I clearly likes being at Luton, You know, he's played some of his best football with us as well. So he's 30. So it's going to be, if we can keep him, that'd be massive. And you've got to say massive props to him as well. So we'll see on that. But I think if someone like Man United come in for him, I'm not saying they will, but there was rumours. Yeah, there was rumours.
There was,
yeah, even Leicester, maybe someone like that. Then I could see him going there just to see what he can do. Maybe trying to get one last chance for the England thing. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know, you will have to give him massive credit in the sense as much as he, you know, has loved being at us, like you say, Dad. You know, obviously it is a step down, let's be honest, you know, because he will be in the Championship football. And, you know, Southgate don't even pick you if you're doing really well in the mid-table sort of team. So, let alone picking you in the Championship sort of thing. So, yeah, no, absolutely. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's, you know, obviously we're going to have to rebuild anyway, you know, especially in the midfield heavily because, you know, it's either we're not going to have him or Lokonga, you know, it'll be one or the other. You know, we're not going to have both of them. I can't see that or none. So it's interesting there when it comes to that. And then a bit more on the game as well. Obviously, the last time we played Fulham, obviously earlier on in the season, we were without a point for the first 4 games of the season following defeat. And to be fair, I remember that game. I felt personally we were quite unlucky. You know, I know Jacob Brown had a very good game that day. He hit the post, you know, and, you know, it's an interesting one. Yeah, it's a narrow win. You know, looking back at that, I'll probably take that in a way as much as I felt, you know, maybe we deserved a point. At the same time, you know, when you look at a lot of games Fulham have had this season, you know, especially at home, they've been very dominant in a lot of games. You know, look at a lot of the games they've won. You know, obviously beat Arsenal at home, you know, beat West Ham emphatically, beat Nottingham Forest emphatically. You know, to only lose 1-0 there, you know, when I look back on it, weren't even that bad. You know, especially early on in the season when we, you know, adapting and trying to work out how we're going to play and stuff like that. It wasn't that bad in the end, to be honest, thinking about it with that. And then the officials for this game, Matt Dunyo, never actually heard of him. 162 yellow cards and 3 red cards have been handed out by him across his 35 games this season. Okay, this is why I've never heard of him, because it says here, last weekend's fixture between AFC Bournemouth and Brentford was the first he's actually refereed in the Premier League, so that makes sense. We actually had a last game ran by him when we defeated Wigan in an Emirates FA Cup 3rd round replay in January 2023. So, interesting there. I mean, it's most likely going to be our last time, Dad, witnessing VAR for a while. Maybe even potentially, depending on what goes on with their debate. So, I mean, that's one thing to look at. You know, that, you know, we won't, you know, like we've seen in the vlog from Homes, Dad, we celebrate and we're like, oh, does it actually count? You know, won't have to witness that. You know, this will be the last time probably. So, interesting. After saying all of that, Stephen, how do you feel going into this game?
I'll be honest with you. I remember last match we did the pre-match preview. I can't remember if I said 2-1, but I felt like deep down we were going to win. But it was closer. Like I knew it was going to be close, but it was closer than I thought. Like we kind of got away with it with the skin of our teeth. I remember walking away being like 2-0. Ah, thanks. Yeah. So I was expecting us to do a bit better, but it was tight. And I remember that at 1-0 there were a couple of chances where you're like, oh, on another day we don't win that game. And I'll be honest with you, deep down, I don't think we're going to win tomorrow. I think it's going to be a draw personally, and I wouldn't be surprised if Luton win. We're not in good form. I know Luton aren't as well, which is a real shame because prior to the last 5-6 games, I think there was a really good momentum and belief about the team, and I was completely rooting for you. And if I could run on the pitch and score 12 goals for Luton, I probably would, because they were the promotion team that, for me, I think spent the least or had, you know, the least squad overhauls compared to like Burnley, for example. You know, Forest and Everton were punished for their kind of financial stuff, and I think I would have enjoyed the narrative of Luton staying up and Forest going down, personally. But I know so many people love Forest, right? But I just felt Luton won the hearts of a lot of fans for the way, the kind of culture they built at home. The way they played, and some of the players really stood out. Ross Barkley, when he was in really good form, was one of the best players in the league at the time. It was really good to watch. So tomorrow, wouldn't be surprised with like a 1-1 scoreline. That's probably where I'd be veering towards. I don't have a lot of confidence in Fulham at the moment, and I feel like you've got a lot to play for in terms of last game of the season pride.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, I actually had a look earlier at Fulham's away record, and I didn't realise it was actually that, not that great. Considering the position you guys are in, it's a fairly decent position. I thought it'd be a bit better than that, but it's not great. However, our home form overall throughout the season has not been what we thought it'd be. We made, especially me, and I think you're on the same wavelength here, Dad. At home we thought it would be, like how it was for Forest. Last season where it, get them over the line and that type of thing. But it's not been great in certain games. We actually lost to Burnley and Sheffield United at home, which was very, very disappointing. A few games where we took them to the wire, like Arsenal, that was unlucky. Obviously, you look at how they're doing, it's unlucky. But then there were certain games that just weren't on it. Brentford as well is another one. So, let's try and end it on a high. Like I've said in the title, let's just enjoy this. It could be. I believe we got a good chance of coming back up, but again, you've got to look at it. It is hard to get out of the Championship, so I'm not going to sit here and say with confidence that we definitely are at this moment in time. It also depends what we do in the summer as well, stuff like that, and also you've got to look at the teams that are in the playoffs now. The teams that don't quite make it, they're going to be up and around there, or at least one or two of them will be. So it's interesting, you've got to look at things like that as well. And, you look in the Championship, it's very hard to, go unbeaten or win loads of games, for example. Look at Leicester. They done it in the end, but it took them a while, didn't it? They could have done it a bit earlier. So stuff like that as well when it comes to things like that. But yeah, Dad, how are you feeling going into this game?
Yeah, it's going to be... We know where we are. We know we're going down. It's not, it's not going to be a nail biting experience. We just got to go and enjoy it. The players should, let their hair down a little bit and obviously try and give the fans a nice send off, etc. Right. Fulham haven't been in great form. I mean, against Man City, Man City are good, but there was all that media stuff, wasn't there, to come out there with flying kites. Was it Fulham? And things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible thing, but
that was a really weird one. It caused a lot of controversy, and I don't know why. Because in my head, I'm like, they're just mucking around in training, but obviously it's not part of their training routine. But
try pick up on things like that, and that's probably what affects more. Is getting to big players' heads and that, because there's social spotlights on you all the time. I think exactly. We'll give them a good game, and we've had good games against Fulham, especially at home. Forget about that 7-0. That was just we were.
That was a really big moment for us because I can't remember. Is that when we were promoted or we won the league? I can't remember. But
yeah, it was a game you guys won the league. I remember. Yeah.
I was on the pitch afterwards. I was absolutely on the pitch. like that's a special memory you guys have created for us. So thanks for that. But you know what? It was such a weird. That was the third time we beat a team 7-0 that year, and I think Marco Silva was well above. There was a couple of question marks about his loyalty, and he had a bad time at Everton, but he destroyed the Championship. He was too good for it, and he's done so well in the Premier League. But yeah, Luton has done some really great games this season. Looking back, I remember when you lost 2-1 to City at home in the league, if I remember correctly, and that was a great game against a really good side, and you really stood your own. And I watched a lot of games. I remember, I think the Spurs at home, and I think there was a 1-goal win as well. That one was a bit tight or something, but the performance levels have always been there, and the manager, I think, has done really, really well. Deserves a lot of credit, and if he stays, I think you're in good stead. If he gets the backing in.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to stay. You can see that he wants to stay. He's already stated that. So unless someone big comes in for him, which I don't even think he'd go then, to be honest with you. I think he wants to actually prove that he can take us all the way, back into the Premier League, and then stabilise us in there. And then maybe if someone come in, you've got to give him credit that, He's a popular guy as well, wears his heart on his sleeve. You know, we've had a lot of stress this season as well, like with the Lockyer incident as well. You know, that set us back as well. Not only is he a good defender, but he's well liked around the club. So that would have affected players at some stage. And obviously, we didn't sign anyone in January, but a lot of people were calling for it. But we couldn't really anyway because we had to get players.
Yeah. How are you boys feeling about? We were having a really good chat pre-video, and you were talking about like VAR. How are you feeling about not having to contend with that next season? Are you excited or a bit nervous?
No, I prefer it. I mean, you do get some way back, really bad decisions. There was a couple we had when we was in the Championship, quite a few, but where defenders have gone down and literally dived and saved, the ball and stuff like that. And if the ref and the lino don't see it, it's tough. But generally, it throws it back to the referee more. So how football is naturally meant to be played, rather than but look at it from this angle, and let's slow it down here, and there's too much of that. So it relies more on natural instincts, and I think it is for a better game. You're going to get some decisions, but at least when a goal goes in, you look at the linesman, you look at the ref. If they're not saying anything, it's in. There's going to be no check 2 minutes later for a foul. So, and it evens itself out, I believe, in that way.
Yeah, so he's coming back, by the way. He's just having some issues, as you lot could see. The camera keeps freezing, so I just warned him about it, so he's going to join back and stuff like that. But yeah, my thoughts on the VAR, like I say, there you go, you're back now. Stephen?
Hope he's all right. Sorry, I'm at work and using the work Wi-Fi.
Nah, no worries at all.
I was just worried about what my frozen face was doing.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, my thoughts on the VAR, to be honest, like I've said, and it's the general thing that everybody's saying. It's not actually VAR, it's the people behind it. But for me, I'm looking forward to not having it because, like I said earlier, there's times where you think you've scored and then it doesn't count. So you're sort of celebrating for no reason and, stuff like that. So in that sense, I'm looking forward to no longer having it. I mean, there probably will be a stage, and I know we've said it, Dad, off air and stuff like that, where we'll say this, and then next season there'll be a moment where it'll be like, if there was VAR,
Yeah, that's because we're used to it, but we'll get over that.
So there's pros and cons for me, but if I'm being honest, overall I'm probably not looking for. I am looking forward to not having to deal with that. Stress sometimes that it can be. It's literally both points this season, Dad. We both went. Does it count? Do you know what I mean? So stuff like that as well. So yeah, let's go through some comments.
I was just say, I like that it kind of eradicates mistakes for the most part, but what I don't love is that every time I celebrate a goal, no matter how legitimate it is, I'm going into it about 70%, and the 30% of me is checking everything, trying to think if there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you want to have that.
It's too much. It's it's almost like a detective, looking for evidence of anything that can stop that goal, and there's too much of that. And what annoys me as well is when it's a corner and it's clearly come off of a player, that doesn't never get flagged up. Do you know what I mean? They should put it back. Go that it's a corner ref. It clearly come off of. Why are you looking for? How close he is offside. But obviously, offsides they're meant to be automated or semi-automated, whatever next season. So that would make a big difference. The goal difference. I also think when the incident, I think it was Arsenal Newcastle where the ball went out and things like that. Why can't they've got goal line technology? Why can't they have it all the way across?
Yeah,
that back line. If it works,
exactly.
Why can't it? And then just cut out. Handball. It's either handball or it's not. It's not. If it hits you close, it's not handball. If it's blatant, or then it's handball, and that's it. That's the rule. You've got to lock it down, because the thing is, the players are doing it as well, aren't they? Every time it even hints at striking someone's hand, they're calling for it, and things like that. What I did like about was halfway through the season, I think it was, they put the multi-ball system in place, which stopped, all this, what was it, like ball boys throwing it over there. Or things like that.
Yeah, because Burn Leno ended up pushing one of the Bournemouth kids because he was mucking around, and then there was like all this press and like about how he might get punished and Fulham might get, fined. And it's like, if you look at it, he just nudges the ball boy, like there's nothing in it, but it's blew out of proportion. I was like, to be honest, mate, that kid's really annoying me. Like, do you know what I mean? When they're trained to hog the ball, that's just interrupting the game. Like,
you shouldn't be able to do that because that's influencing the game in certain ways,
Yeah.
But you do see some funny stuff from that in the Premier. I won't miss the dive in from certain players, the 15 holding the face when it was no near their face. I mean, things like that. It's just, I don't know what that is. That's like an attitude thing for me. Like, you don't see that. You do see it in other leagues, but nowhere near as much,
I'll be honest, my dad says he misses the Championship all the time. And there's so many things about Premier League football I love, and there's so many things about Premier League football I hate.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult. We're literally going into every game thinking, you can compete sometimes. If you're not on it and the other team are, don't matter who they are, because most teams have got quality players, haven't they? Like the top, 12, 14. They can hurt you, can't they? Which is, I think there will be, it won't get scrapped. That just definitely won't happen just based on rules. I'm sure there'll be a couple of other clubs like voting for it, maybe Forest and that. But overall, the majority of clubs do like it. It's just it needs to be ironed out properly and stop the interfering so much and things like that. Again, with the penalties, if it's a blatant penalty, then if it's like, did he sort of touch it? Did he lean? Did he, that? Just no. And then the players will know because you get them looking for top contact now, even deliberately running into other players, knowing, and they're probably getting taught this. I know it sounds cynical, but
every point counts.
It's technology at football clubs, even at the games, they're looking at stuff. But they're like, well, if you run into him a bit or whatever, then when they look at it on VAR, then it's a business, isn't it? So
so none of that for you next season. So you just get into it. I think you'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, definitely. And, the whole Championship sort of experience is really good. It is really good. We've got teams that are coming up. There's a lot of derbies in there. We've got Watford as well. We've got QPR in there. You're going to see other ones. So
could potentially be Southampton, Portsmouth as well. Potentially, Southampton will go up.
And I do think if we recruit right, we will be up there. But we do start slowly. But we'll see. Let's enjoy the non-VAR.
Yeah, and a couple of seasons you have hopefully have the new stadium, so it's definitely something to work towards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And going back to that thing on just the players overreacting sometimes. Do you know what I see a lot of now as well? Because the referee has to stop stuff on head injuries. I see a lot of players like using that as a thing when it's not even hit their face. I watched the game the other day. It didn't even hit the guy's face, and he was holding his face. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? How are they getting away with that? It's just crazy. So there's stuff like that as well. You do see it a lot, like you say. The amount of times I see it in the Tottenham game the other day was just a joke. So that is something there. But let's go through some comments. Stephen says Barkley would have won, so he wanted him, nobody else. Yeah, no, I get that. Again, I think, if he doesn't, like you said, Dad, if he doesn't get a big offer, from like the teams you said earlier, I think I had a look the other day, just as much as he is our player at the moment, just, out of the clubs and that, Villa was actually the highest that he was linked with, other than us. And that would make sense for me. I mean, I spoke to Lewis, as we all know, obviously a Villa fan, and he, for some reason, I don't know why, he wasn't too keen, but I said, I think he'd do well for you guys. You've got to think, the Champions League now, you need that experience. And, he has played in Europe, all right, ain't been for a while, but I think he would do well for them. I know he played for them before and it was a bit of a rocky time, but I don't know. I think he'd do all right for them. But, if no one comes in or, someone comes in, like, no disrespect, like, Ipswich, then he probably will stay. Because at the end of the day, Ipswich might, do what we done and go back down. So You know, we have, you know, there is stuff, you know, outside of that. You know, I know he's enjoying, you know, being in around the like the area and that. You know, I know it'd be a bit of a surprise. I don't know what some people say about Luton, but like even going to places with the team and that, you know, I know he's enjoying that and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. Really, big up to Chris. Says big up lads. Hope you're well. Here we go. Here's a question for you, Stephen. What is your expectations for next season for Fulham?
Wow, it really is a blur, to be honest. Like we our first season we were 10th. This season, most likely, you know, 14th to 12th. It's petered off a little bit, and now it's going to be a question of, you know, who we keep hold of, and the real thing is how much the owners invest in the squad, because we lost Mitrovic, and let's be frank, we didn't replace him. We got, you know what I mean, we brought in Raul Jimenez before Mitrovic went because he was a different kind of striker. He was on a free or very cheap, I believe. Although I think his wages are about 100 grand a week, which is eye-watering. But you know, we got Jay Stansfield's going to come back. I think we need to sign a big striker. So I think it's all in the recruitment. If Marco has committed to one more season, which is what his contract says, I'm not sure about Palhinha. I don't mind what happens there. I'd rather him go for a load of money, or we keep one or the other.
I think you get quite a bit, and I think he probably will end up going. But you know, he is a good player. Even though he gave us some, and you know, naughty tackles and that, whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
He gives it all out there on the pitch, genuinely, doesn't he? And he has got that talent, right? I think so. You get some good money for him. But, you know, you might even be trying to get Elijah back after letting him go all them years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think ambition-wise, you know, I think if you're going to hold on to Marco and you're going to go for it, then I think we should be aiming to try and get the lower European place, which sounds mental and maybe a bit too ambitious, but you know, because Premier League survival is always the most important thing. But we've had this like 2-month lull where we knew we were safe about 2 months ago, and since then it's just absolutely just died out, and so it's been a bit of a weird one for us. But so I'd like to reset, get some new blood in, mix things up a bit, and the dream would be to kind of get Europe, get Conference League would be great, and then Marco might want to stay for the European project, but who knows? We're just happy to be. I think we're happy to be a Premier League team. No, that's as annoying as it is sometimes. Expectations top 10, I hope, but secretly we all want Europe. That's the answer to that question.
Or like a League Cup or FA Cup.
Yeah, we hit the old League Cup semi-final this year with Liverpool. That was went to that one. That was tough time to watch because I think we drew at level, but they were still 1 goal ahead, and then they were just time wasting, and it's like, it's just so tough. A good cup run's always nice. It's always good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, Jay Stansfield, that's interesting because I know he was on loan at Birmingham this season, and I know a lot of Birmingham fans said he was quite, you know, influential for them. So that's interesting.
He won 5 awards from Birmingham this year. I think it was Players Player of the Season, Fans Player of the Season, most goals, best goal, and PFA Young Players. It's some crazy stuff. And I think he was there maybe half a season. I don't think he was even there he might have been there the whole season. But Marco Silva said he's coming back in the team when he returns, so he's going to hopefully be able to see if he can make his impact on the Premier League. It'll be really interesting with him and Muniz. Muniz is 22 as well, and I think if we could sign a really good striker, that's 3 really good players. Jimenez just not doing it for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I do agree. When I've watched, you know, a few Fulham games, I don't know. I just think since the unfortunate head injury, he's just not been the same, has he? Really?
No. He got a little bit of form. He got 5 goals, and I was like really excited because I really like him as a player. But then he shoved his ass into Longstaff's face, like when he jumped up about 5 foot, got a red card, and then literally just never came back from that. So, I'd like to move him on if possible. Help balance the wage books.
Talking about players moving on, do you reckon these players will potentially leave? Chris, with another question, Palhinha and Robinson?
There's a really, really good chance because Robinson is one of the most athletic players in the Premier League. I mean, his speed is unreal, so that nullifies counter-attacks, and the pace he can bring the ball up the pitch is incredible. Like sometimes teams have to put 2 players on him because just like to stop him, and then that influences other elements of the game. Issue is he again, like some players can be a bit sloppy when he's pressed, can make bad decisions. His crossing was a bit questionable, but that actually improved. He did get a few assists last year, so there is going to be a keen interest in him because I don't think there's a huge amount of good left backs in the Premier League. So, do I expect them to leave? I think there's going to be a lot of interest, and I'll be surprised if at least one of them doesn't go. But if Marco can sell the project and the ambition, then anything's game. So,
yeah. I mean, me personally, I could probably see Paulinho, and the only reason I say that is because I know he's been linked with Bayern Munich a lot over the current season. So maybe there potentially. Obviously, I know they've got quite a lot of players that are getting on a bit in that midfield sort of area. So maybe
I think Paulinho would go. The issue now is what offer Fulham would accept for a player of his age, and I think they're going to be a bit stubborn with how much they want, and teams aren't going to want to pay that. And I think there's going to be a stumbling block. Unless they've just pre-agreed something and then Bayern just come in and get him for like 30 million, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I think he was the highest for the second season in a row, most tackles in the Premier League, which is just bonkers, isn't it? So that's what we like about football, like a good tackle.
Yeah, Bayern Munich, they've got a lot to do because I know Tuchel's obviously left now, so it's come out today. So they've got a lot to do there as well regarding that. So it'll be interesting. Massive rebuild, obviously, ahead for them as well. Dora in the chat, you're going to win 12-0. What, and you're going to lose 12-0, yeah? Yeah, that'll be sick. But, yeah, no, I love that, but it's just not going to happen, is it?
I'm all for it, and if that happens, let's celebrate in the pub afterwards because that'd be brilliant. No, you know what, lads? You're going to win 12-0, and the Forest are going to draw. That'd be the worst.
Oh dear. Big up to Harry in the chat. Hope you're well, mate. He says, evening, lads. Big up to yourself, mate. Chris's thoughts on the VAR stuff. VAR is staying. It's a load of PR BS. Who say it's getting scrapped. Small clubs will vote against keeping it. Big clubs will keep it. Premier League is run by big clubs, unfortunately. Yeah, large part of that, you're not wrong. It is, look at stuff like, I'm not going to get too much into it, but we all know about the City charges and stuff like that, and stuff is still dragging out, and this is my opinion, they probably won't even get anything that bad. They'll probably get a fine, and they've got X amount of money.
They will.
I can just see it. I can just see. Same with Chelsea. Probably just won't get much, but yeah, again, Chris got the same thoughts as me on it with that. And his thoughts on the Barkley saga as well. Barkley can play in his natural position at Villa too. Barkley been one of the best midfielders in Premier League this season, relegation or not. Yep, 100%. And that's the thing. I always say it. He's not been the best recently, last couple of games. Again, you've got to think he's played in that position. He's been that good. He's been that standout that a lot of people have seen that. It's just, massive credit to him as well in that sense as well. But yeah, he will be able to, won't he? Because, obviously they've got a lot of options there and they've got, more players as well in that sort of CDM role, which we haven't managed to have this season. Yeah, exactly. It goes back to what we said earlier. Barkley found his confidence back at Luton. I won't be shocked if he stays at Luton because Luton took him on. I'll be appreciative of that. Yeah, no, 100%. Like I say, if a big offer comes in, you can't really say no. But, if it's one where, he looks at it and think, they might be in a similar position to us, for example, like a newly promoted side or something like that, then, I reckon he would stay at us, to be honest. So we shall see.
Yeah, it's a really tough one because, like, Luton gave him the chance. He thrived there. I don't think it's a question of him not loving the club and wanting to play at the club. But at age 30, you've got to ask yourself, it's two directions. It's either I want to play in the Premier League the last 2 or 3 years of my career, or I just want to be at a good club where I'm going to play consistently and enjoy myself. And the answer is it's all up to him, and that's a tough one. It's all about whether if he wants that Premier League football, he'll probably just take it away and get it. But if he's having a great time at Luton, enjoying his football, and that's all that matters to him, then he'll stay. So that's going to be the deciding factor, isn't it? His mindset on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree. There's loads of ways to look at it. Big up to Darth Vader in the chat. He says, I've seen a few reports of players we're being linked to already. Yeah, no, I've seen quite a lot. A young player as well. Can't quite remember where he's from, but yeah, I know he's been linked with a couple of players. Ben Sheaf has been flying around again. You know, obviously from Coventry, that's been happening for quite a while now. I think that was even happening in January. So it's interesting there. I mean, you know, obviously the Schmodix one was heavy. It's not really heavy now because obviously that was more so if we stay up. Probably means he'll go Brentford now. He's still heavily linked with them because I know he was. So, you know, there will be a massive rebuild, you know, like we said, especially in positions like midfield. You know, I feel we need to have a massive overhaul there. But yeah, obviously we got into that on the last episode. Yeah, and that's another thing. You know, again, we said it on the last episode as well. You will see his style of play finally kick in. You know, the formation he wants to go with and stuff like that as well. So it's going to be interesting next season, you know, for sure. Chris says Robinson for me been best left back in the Premier League this season.
Wow, that's big. Yeah. He does offer something that you can't train in players. Like when you look at his athleticism and pace. You know, I watch him and I feel tired watching him. Like that's how much he's running because I play football as a centre back and I run for about 2 seconds and that's me done for the day. I'm in the pub. He's naturally gifted and that's why we hear it all the time as Fulham fans. But he's linked with Milan. I think it was Inter Milan or AC Milan when he was playing for Wigan in the Championship. And then he failed some weird heart thing and then it fell through. But he does have that natural quality. And now that he's improved his crossing, it's really helped. If you could just sharpen his game a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised to see him at a kind of a club that's in Europe, not Champions League, but like a West Ham or that level, like Europa Conference League, Europa League kind of level club could be very beneficial. But, you know, hopefully we keep him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely there. And then Chris is on the same wavelength as me. He reckons Paulinho might get that move to Bayern. That's the thing. I don't think both of them will go. I think it'll be one or the other. And it's most likely him because he's more so been rumoured, hasn't he, over the seasons. So
I'll take 30 million for him. That sounds crazy. We paid 20 and I remember seeing his debut. I went to like Portuguese pre-season, did some video content. It was really cool. Any excuse to go in the sun and watch football. And he came off the bench. And you know, when you just see those players where you're like, everything they do is just right, like whether it's on the ball or off the ball. And I was like, oh, this guy's really exciting. But I'm just like, I kind of, because he was so excited about going to Bayern and it fell through, like there's a small part of me that wants him to go to like fulfill that part of his career that he's clearly worked very hard to do. I don't think we get the mega bucks for him, but if it was like 30 million and he was happy and we reinvested in a long-term strategy, then I'd be okay with it. Although it'd be sad to see him leave. It would be nice to see him, you know, playing Champions League football and stuff. So, yeah, trying to be unselfish there.
Big up to Charlie on buses. He says, "Hope Ross Barkley stays. He's been so good for us." Yeah, no, of course he has. You know, it's if we did, like I said earlier, if we had a player like that in the Championship, then I've got more confidence, to be honest, you know. So we shall see what happens with that. Yeah, exactly, like I've said. And then, yeah, we'll move on to lineups. So, Stephen, what do you reckon the Fulham lineup will be? The one that you would like to go with if you could decide?
It's a tricky one. Last game of the season. The one that I would like... Oh, man. This is tough because also I'd like to see fringe players play because it's the last game of the year and, you know, there's not much to play for. But I guess, you know, Bert Leno in goal. Probably start with Castagna right back. Tete's just extended his contract, which is good news. And then the centre back Diop's off. Tosin's not signed the contract with the club, so I'd rather just shaft him. And it would be nice to have Ream and Bassi, although they're both left-sided centre backs. They could both play football, and I love Tim Ream, as we said earlier. Kind of look a bit like him. Left back, you're going to go Robertson. Though, so having said that, we got Bala Toure on loan from AC Milan, and he was unreal. Every time he came off the bench. He was so fast. I mean, he never got his chance because when you've got someone like Robertson and that pace, you can't drop him. But I would have loved to see more Ballatore. So I would love Ballatore to start, but it's not going to happen. And then in the centre midfield, of course, Palhinha. Lukic is injured, so you get Harrison Reed or Tom Kearney. I quite like Iwobi playing in the middle. He does play out wide quite a lot, but I quite like him in the centre. Then, of course, Pereira's Cam. He's really energetic, really good player to watch. And then out wide, Willian's a baller. Absolute pleasure to see him do his thing. And I think on a tight pitch like Luton's, he could navigate that quite well. You know, in a giant pitch where you play a long ball to him, he ain't going to be, you know, busting everything and then making it back to defend. So a nice small pitch could suit him quite well. So yeah, Willian on the left, and then obviously, here we go on the right. It'll probably be Iwobi on the right, and then up top he'll start with Muniz. Though I wouldn't mind mixing it up, and I wouldn't mind seeing Jimenez or Brozier hasn't had a single start since coming from Chelsea. I feel bad because Muniz had a purple patch, which hopefully is a bit more than that. But, you know, Brozier probably came to Fulham to get some proper game time. And when he comes off the bench, it looks nice. But as the centre forward, you're not really coming on to grab goals. You're coming on to hold the ball up, slow the game down. So it would be nice to see him kind of get a start to see what he could do. So it's quite an unpredictable one tomorrow, though. I think he'll mix it up a bit, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you say, last game of the season, do a bit of experimenting. You know, you might as well. It's not like, there's not anything to play for you guys, so might as well.
The under 21's out, 12-0.
But yeah, as for our lineups, obviously I'll start off with like always. So for me, it's an interesting one. I mean, the only thing I was really debating was the defense, because obviously Burke's out. So I've decided I'm going to go with this. So obviously Kaminsky in goal. Back three of Osho on the left, Mengi in the middle, and I'm actually going to go Fred as a centre back on the right. I mean, he's played as a in the defensive roles, obviously, as we know, since he's unexpectedly come back against Tottenham. So I'm going to go with him there. I'm then going to go Chio on the right of the wing backs, and then Doughty on the left, of course. And then midfield, obviously, no Barkley, so I'm going to go with Lokonga and Ruddock. Hopefully, Ruddock gets that Premier League goal, man. I'm actually praying at this point, because that'll be sick. What a journey that'll be, as we all know, to score in every single division with us. Obviously, Berry has done that. We're just hoping that Ruddock does that as well. And then the front three, I'm going to go Morris on the left side, Chong on the right, Elijah up front. I mean, the only other thing I could maybe see people changing that lineup potentially is, Hashimoto maybe in, or Fred, for example, because he has played there a few times. But yeah, given our injuries that we have got, especially at the back, I am going to go with that. Like I say, Fred has played there a few times when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to go with that when it comes to that. Dad, your lineup going into this game?
Give me 1 second, see if it works this week.
Yeah, hopefully it does. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie, boys. I feel a bit left out. I want a fancy lineup. Next time I'm on, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, no worries. There you go, Dad.
Right, so yeah, I'm going. I don't think we'll make as many changes. You could see Krul starting, or could be Shea for his potential last game and that. But I think we're going to try and give the fans something. So we're going to play, as best players we can. So obviously we'll start with Kaminsky. I've got Osho on the left, Mengi in the middle, and Hashioka. So I feel that he might stay. He has started there before.
Yeah.
Lokonga and Ruddock sitting in midfield. Ruddock potentially could be his last game for us. I think he's still got another year left, but we'll see. But I want him to get that Premier League goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Discussions privately, put him up front. Forget stuff like that. But yeah, Doughty on the left, Chio on the right, Chong there. Chong's been really, really good in the last 7 or 8 games. But I feel like Elijah, we played this before, where Elijah was, there on the left and Morris was up front, because I think it works better. Because I think if Morris plays in that position, he doesn't do great, So I'd be putting Morris up front. And then we've got some, but I could also potentially see Johnson starting in defence as well.
That's a good shout, yeah.
And then Osho going into the Hashioka position, and then Johnson starting on the left there. But yeah, we'll see. But that's what I'll go with. Lokonga's probably definitely last game for us. Even Arsenal want to sell him, but I don't think he's young enough to play for a Premier League team, and he's good enough as well. So
yeah,
that's my lineup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the only reason I'll put Morris where I'll put him is because, in a lot of games I see him flick the ball forward. And a lot of times, especially when Elijah was out, no one was there. So I feel for that type of thing, it's quite beneficial. But then again, they might chop and change during the game. They have done that a lot this season as well. So, and like you say, Dad, there's a lot of times it's happened, from your lineup. Burnley, even though Elijah didn't start, that was an example. The home game I'm talking about. I think even in the away game it might have been like that, actually, thinking about it. So stuff like that as well. But yeah, no, Johnson was a good shout. Like we said on the last episode, I do think next season he'll be in and around the team a lot, like you said as well, Dad. Especially, when he has come on, he's looked very, very composed, and confident and stuff like that. I feel next season it'll be a good time for him to gel in and play more regularly, in starting 11s and stuff like that. So, yeah, that is that. But, yeah, moving on to that time, the final time this season, score predictions. Stephen, you sort of hinted at your score prediction earlier, but are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick. Let's go 2-2. It's more exciting than 1-1. Let's go 2-2.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, could very well much be like that. Dad, your score prediction? Will be at this game. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Really looking forward to it. Big up Darth Vader for that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be an entertaining game. Fulham, if they make the changes in that, we're not going to be super, giving that performance. I don't think but they'll have moments where they'll enjoy it and players play with freedom and stuff. So I'm also going to go for draw, but I think it'll be a high scoring draw, similar to what we had a couple of years ago. 3-3. I'm going to go with.
I'm up for that.
You know what? That's actually interesting you've said that, because I know you don't look at comments, Dad, and Chris has actually put 3-3 earlier on.
Yeah.
And he puts goal scorers as well. Obviously, we will get into that. He's got Elijah, Chong, Morris for us, Muniz to get 2 for Fulham, and Reed to get the other one. So interesting there. I'll tell you what, Chris, you should stick a little cheeky, bet on that.
Oh, get a lot of money for that.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Whilst I'll do a little bet builder there, but yeah, no. As for my prediction, like I say, obviously, let's try and end it on a high. Let's just enjoy it. At the end of the day, we've been in the Premier League. A lot of us have experienced it. Me and you, Dad, were very happy because we, managed to finally get to a game, in the Premier League. So again, shout out to Darth Vader for that. But yeah, my score prediction, I do think it's going to be a draw. Again, I do think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be similar to the game when we played each other in the Championship at Kenilworth Road, that game. I can see it being that sort of game where it's sort of end-to-end. Both teams had chances to win. I can see it being something like that. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw in this one. And, yeah, move on to goal scorers. Stephen, you can do our goal scorers as well if you'd like, or you can just do Fulham's. It's up to you.
I'll go for the obvious one, Morris. I mean, from an outsider's point of view, it looks like he's had a really good season that was stronger as it went on. Would you boys agree with that?
Yeah. Considering as well, like he was probably like the least, he's been in and around the Championship. He started off at Norwich, he's 20, what's he, 28, Tyler, 27, 28?
Yeah, something like that. 28, I think, yeah.
He could generate a bit of interest, actually, from other clubs.
Could, yeah, both he could. But I think he'll stay with us personally, based on what he's saying, things like that. So, yeah, definitely, he's definitely improved, considering as well for some of the time he was on his own. Well, Elijah was injured. he went through a little purple patch himself. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've said 2-2. So now I've got so I'm gonna say Willian and Muniz. Willian's gonna do some magic footwork and then put it in the bottom corner. Muniz is just gonna stick his head on it or do a ridiculous bicycle kick probably. Did you guys see that goal against Sheffield United? Do you remember it? I think
I remember that. I think then, but
he's been doing that since he started, and it never came off. And then, like, you're like, one day this is going to happen, and he actually did it, and it's just like we all went mental. It was so good. So let's go for a Morris double. He's going to be on form tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good for him. And that means if it was to be the case, he would take over Elijah on the goal scorers. Obviously, they're both level and 10, which I think is really good, especially for the position we're in. The first season in the Premier League, I think 10 and 20 between the two of them. That's good. That's good numbers. And it does make me think, and I keep saying it week on week, if Elijah didn't have weren't out for that period of time, he was starting to kick on. So for me, he'd have at least anywhere from 13 to 15 goals. I do believe that. So yeah, stuff like that. But Dad, your goal scorers?
I'm going to go for Elijah. To score against his first club, Morris as well, and Chong. I'd love it to be Ruddock though. Wow.
Yeah,
just don't know, but I'm hoping
give him a penalty. Give him a penalty right at the end.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and then Fulham. Do you think Harry Wilson will start?
It's really hard to predict that one, honestly. It could be Bobby Reid, it could be Harry, it could put Iwobi and Willian out there. We have a lot of wingers. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see. But Willian, I think, he's a good player.
I remember saying last time when we said about players we would take, I said Willian.
There was that small patch where maybe he was just trying to get a better wage for his contract, but where he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to sign a new one," and we're like, "What are you doing?" And then there's talk about him going to Forest and all that, and then he just signed him a new one. Like, he's 34, maybe 34, 35, which is very old for a winger, but his on the ball ability is exceptional. It's really nice to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My goal scorers, obviously I've done 1-1, so I'm going to go Elijah for us. Again, he did score in that game, the 1-1 draw at home. So could see that again. Again, I'm like you, Dad. I'd love to say Ruddock, but yeah, I just don't know, man. I don't think it's going to happen. But, like Stephen said, if we get a penalty, put him on it. That would be sick. Even if we're losing, just put him on a penalty and it'll be absolute limbs, even if we're losing quite heavily. So, for example, and then for Fulham, I'm going to go. See, I was thinking Wilson myself. But I'm going to go Willian. I'm going to go Willian, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Wilson, just because I can see him scoring outside the box. Us getting out offensively, something like that. Second ball, I can see it from us trying to head it away. He gets takes one touch, boom, bottom corner. I can see something like that. So, yeah, that's that. Other score predictions. Jackie's gone 3-2 to us. Chong, Elijah, and Morris. Yeah, a lot of people are saying them three. Everyone that said 3 goals. So you, Jackie, you, Dad, and Chris have all said them goal scorers. pretty ironic there. Charlie on Buses says, I think we'll win 3-1 or 4-0. Jeez, to end the season on a high. We will be back one day. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. 100%, mate. I do think we will be back. And like I said earlier, if we manage to keep hold of players like Barkley, we've got a very good chance of, getting the automatics, in my opinion. So we shall see.
But you never know, like the manager could say, look, it's really ridiculously unlikely, but just go out there and go hell for leather and see what happens. And you could end up being some crazy game where you get a really high scoreline. Like if you're the manager, you've only got so much control. You might. So I mean, crazier things have happened.
Well, yeah. The thing is, you touch on that. I mean, if we played like we all started, definitely the way we did against Brighton. What was it? We scored 2 goals. Was it?
2 goals in 2 minutes or something.
It meant to be the quickest in the Premier, like 2-goal lead or something in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
And we absolutely dominated that game, but I just can't. It's not good. It's not going to happen. Like psychologically, that was a different time, and that's when I really thought, you know what, we could definitely definitely stay up there. I mean, take Brighton and no mugs, and the way we took them apart, that was decent. It's good to see that everyone just clicked that day, and that's what it was. Elijah scored a hat trick, and if we make some decent signings in the Championship, and we play like that against certain teams in the Championship, we will annihilate a lot of teams, I think, So no, I can't see it being like that, but we'll you never know. But I can't see it. A draw, I think, an entertaining draw, I think.
Yeah. It'll be 1-0 after 1 minute, and we'll all be like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, no. Also, going back to that, though, like I said earlier, a lot of the games have been draws. The last 2 at Kenilworth Road have been draws as well. So, it's probably written to be that, But as long as, well, I want to say the performance there, as long as we just end it on a high and enjoy it, sort of thing. That's all I really care about in that sense. Charlie on Buses also says, I think if Chio starts, he might get one. Maybe Pelly, Ruddock, and Morris. Yeah, obviously, if Ruddock got one, like I say, at the absolute scenes at Kenilworth Road. But yeah, I don't know. Just got to be realistic with how he's come on and not done really what we'd thought. I was saying that, though, the closest game he got to actually scoring was Man City away, wasn't it? Ironically, when he hit the side netting, I remember we thought that was in, Dad. So you never know. You never know.
Would that be a record if he scores then? That it's never been done by any other player, or?
Well, I think if you tally it with he's got promoted with us from and scored in every league. Then,
with the same club, yeah.
But I think Lockyer scored in every league. And who is it? Is it Berry or
Berry's Clark? Done it in every one except non-league.
Yeah. So, but Lockyer scored in every league. But sticking with the same club and doing it.
Oh yeah, no, that's incredible. Yeah, that would be amazing. I
don't think anyone else probably would do, like through all the leagues, would do that.
No, not one team. I remember we were saying that when we were coming back on the train from the playoff final. We were like, no one's gonna, and that weren't even talking about him scoring. That was just him being with us with one club. Like, just can't see anyone else doing it for a long time. But
even what he's done anyway, getting promoted and sticking with us through that, I don't think that's been done either. So
yeah, true.
He's still got that anyway. We'll see, but yeah, any penalties, like just put him on there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Bring him on to take the penalty if he's not on the pitch at the
time. Like James Collins against Watford. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think the keeper should definitely dive out of the way.
Let
it happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Big up to Aidan. He says we'll go back to the Premier League next season. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What signings we make and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I say, minimum for me is top 6 as our aim, just because that's where we were when we were fighting to go up. And I look at the teams that have went down this year; they've all been in and around that conversation. Obviously, Leicester went up, and then Southampton and Leeds obviously in the playoffs. So for me, that should be the minimum really with that. But like Rob Edwards has said, you can try and be stronger than what we was in the Championship. So based on that, I'm thinking, let's try and go for automatics. Why not? So we'll see. And then 1-0 to Luton. Again, it could be one of them. Obviously the last time we had a last game of the season, Dad, and we went to it was Reading. Remember that one? Obviously, there are different circumstances because that was obviously to get the playoffs. But our win in the end we didn't actually need to win because Middlesbrough didn't get the result they needed or something like that. But it's good to get that. So maybe it could be something like that. But we shall see what happens there. But Stephen, thank you again for coming onto the channel.
My pleasure.
Hopefully, we'll see you in 2 seasons' time and to do this all again, mate.
Maybe a cheeky cup run next year. Maybe we can do it all again. You're going to have to let me know the good pubs ahead of the game tomorrow. As I've never been to Luton. It's my first time Kenilworth Road. Like, tickets are like gold dust. I was very lucky to get one.
There's a couple in the town. I can't remember what they're called, though. There's a couple like in the town centre, which a lot of, when we've walked past, isn't it, Tyler? There's a lot of away fans.
Maybe some of the fans watching can... maybe some of the fans watching can comment their recommendations.
Because I can't remember what they're called, but if they comment, then Tyler will message you and let you know. But you'll probably see the Fulham fans there anyway, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I do with any away games I go to, I do a follow Fulham away thing. I started on my personal channel, then did it for Fulhamish. So tomorrow will be my last one of the season, and basically we'll talk about the match, the experience of the away day, you know, all the things from the beer prices to the food to the experience, the atmosphere. So I think maybe a lot of Luton fans might enjoy that away fan perspective, but it's completely neutral kind of blog of the day. So yeah, quite good.
Yeah, I see Back of the Net, which is Bournemouth channel. They've done something very similar to that. I actually watched it yesterday, and that was pretty good. And I know they've said some good things about Luton over the season as well. So yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. And obviously we're all going to the game, so we can meet up and get something sorted pre-game and pre-match and stuff like that. And like I say, people, like I have said on Instagram, do make sure you are following me on that. Sometimes I do put polls on there that I don't put on YouTube and stuff like that. Basically, I've done one. Do you want to see me do fan cams? I've got a microphone that actually works, and a lot of you said yes. And again, it's something, them things when you do YouTube, when you're in the back of your mind thinking, do I want to actually do this? Like, I want to do this. I want to get everything right to do it, though. A lot of people said yeah, so I will be doing fan cams after the game. We'll probably be opposite the club shop. So if anyone wants to come over, please do. I know a few people are already, so do appreciate that. And yeah, you if some of you haven't met me and my dad, you'll be able to meet us. And I know a lot of people did ask Dad if you're going to the game. So again, shout out to Darth Vader for that.
Yeah, definitely.
And it'd be good to see you again, mate, if you are in the chat and that type of thing. And of course, anyone else that is at the game. And yeah, like I say, Stephen, I'm sure we'll see each other before the game as well, and get something sorted there.
Yeah, I hope so, mate. It'd be good.
So yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, just let the people know a bit more about the channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you enjoy like other clubs, podcasts and video bits, the Fulham fan one is Fulhamish. It's been going for a really long time and it's very successful, really, really good. There's so much content. So I do a lot of like video bits. There's lots of articles and all sorts. And then my personal Twitter is at SMS Sheldrake. I'm sure Tyler will tag me in some bits and bobs like that. So yeah, go check that out. Yeah, credit to the boys for running a really good fan channel. I'm always on TikTok, you're always popping up, and I'm watching the videos. So keep up the good work, boys.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I mean, if you don't have to rush back, you can always jump on the fan cam, or I can make sure that you're the first one.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to do that, obviously we'll talk about it anyway during the day, and we'll get stuff sorted there. But yeah, thank you again for coming onto the channel.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll quickly touch on something else that's happening this weekend. So yeah, thank you again, Stephen.
Nice one.
I'll see you.
Thanks, guys. Best of luck tomorrow. See you soon.
You too.
So yeah, big up to Stephen for that. But yeah, one last thing we're going to talk about, and we know it's the hat show, but we're going to touch on it anyway because it's massive, and people probably would ask for our predictions. And that was obviously Fury versus Usyk. By the way, I did go on Hano's channel yesterday to do a preview. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and do a preview that long. We're just going to do our quick thoughts on it and what do we reckon is going to happen. So, Dad, I'll let you start off. How do you see the fight going? The big fight.
It's a lot of hype around it, a lot of social media nonsense. I've talked about Usyk before he fought Joshua both times. He's an excellent boxer. I've always rated him. I felt that he had Joshua's number. More the fact that Joshua is quite rigid in the way he comes forward, etc. And a lot of people, the impressions I'm getting from social media is that for some reason Fury seems to have a lot of haters. I don't know if it's just the algorithms pushing that onto my pages and stuff, but some of it's just laughable. Like, he's going to pull out because he obviously delayed it because of that cut. This is for the lineal heavyweight championship of the world. You're not going to take no risks. I do think Usyk will give him problems. Potentially could wobble him. Can't really see him be knocking him down. He didn't knock Joshua down. He didn't knock Chisora down. But he definitely give him problems. You know, he's probably will be the best technical boxer that he's faced so far in his career. But overall, I think that Fury is just going to have his number at the end of it. And there's going to be no points thing. He is weak to the body, Usyk, no matter what anyone says. He definitely is. And Fury's just got his number. He is good enough. And then obviously you'll get, but it's the weakest heavyweight. Now you got to fight Joshua to prove it. You know, which will probably happen, and he'll probably do the same there, and that's it. Retire. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, Fury for me, I think he's got his number. He's trained obviously harder. You can see he's lost a little bit of weight. That's to quicken up his movement. He's quick anyway, quicker than what people give him credit for. This is just going to quicken up his movement even more. And yeah, like all the media stuff behind it, I'm not even really talking about because it's always a lot of it's just a load of crap anyway. It's what happens when the bell goes in it. But yeah, Fury for me, I think we'll get the job done.
Yeah. Now, my quick thoughts on it. Again, I'm like you, Dad. I do like Usyk as a fighter, but again, I just think there's levels personally. You know, yes, they're both unbeaten, but Fury for me, you know, he's just that guy. You know, a lot of people, you have to be in good shape to be good at boxing, Red, and they just chat waffle. Like you said, Dad, you know, very good at their movement. You know, he's very good at his movement. He's always been, you know, even though I'd say, you know, when people predict this, it's 50-50, not in my opinion, but, you know, in other people's opinions, majority is, you know, even times he has been the underdog, so to speak. You know, obviously this one's 50-50, but ones where he has been, you know, he's always come out and won. Klitschko, you know, the fight against Wilder, not necessarily lost one, I would say, but, you know, the first one definitely was an underdog for that. So for me, I do think he'll win this. I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk starts better, you know, just because Fury's trying to work him out and how it's going to be. But I do think Fury wins later on. And I'm actually going to go, he's got this a few times in his career. I'm going to go for Fury win at round 10, TKO win. So that's my prediction for that. Short and sweet when it comes to that. So yeah, it's all interesting there. But yeah, obviously the weigh-in happened not too long ago as well. So I will keep an eye on that. Yeah, but we'll be doing a watch along to that as well. So a lot of stuff coming up on the channel. So do make sure you are subscribed. If there is a time to subscribe, it is now. And even when the season ends, we'll be doing a lot of stuff that covering. Obviously, you know, keep, sell, loans, the season as a whole, you know, a lot of stuff. So do make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But Dad, any final things you'd like to say about anything in general?
Nah, like again, big up Darth Vader. I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow and meeting you on that. And yeah, finally managed to get a ticket, and I'm sure we'll be able to get a lot more next season. Probably looking to become a member to try and make it a little bit easier. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the boxing as well. My actual prediction is probably, well, I've heard some, you know, people say that Fury does him in 8. But I think I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go 9. And I think it will be Body Shot that'll do him as well. So that's my prediction. But I do predict him to give him a lot of problems in the fight. A lot of problems. Just his technical ability is just gonna. He's not going to be able to target him as much. That's why he's gone lighter. I think, you know, because the bigger you are, the slower you are, and he's going to have to have them little quick left rights and stuff, which Usyk is good at moving and dodging and things like that, and coming back and just ratting your face, and that's what he's going to do. But I'm looking forward to it because it's Fury just pulls something out. He deals with anyone that steps up, and I think he will do. But props to Usyk. But this is going to be a really good fight, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, it's massive, as we all know. Obviously, all the belts on the line. You know, people do say there's too many belts in boxing. I do agree, but at the end of the day, at least, and I said it on Hanno's channel yesterday, there is one positive to take. You know, with the fights being in Saudi, all right, the atmosphere ain't great and all that, but at the same time, at least these fights are happening. You know, the heavyweight division over the years is not. You know, you haven't seen them big fights that you'd want to see. You know, I know people ain't a big fan of UFC, including myself. I'm not really interested in it, but you do see the big fights happen there more often. So it's good that they are doing that, you know, over in Saudi in that perspective. So, yeah, that's what I will say about that. But, yeah, obviously I'll be doing a watch along to that as well. So do make sure. And then Sunday, like I say, fan cams after the game as well. We'll give that a little run, see how it goes. I actually did do them before, but I never actually uploaded them. Huddersfield in the first leg. So, yeah, we'll do that. And then, obviously, there'll be a vlog out as well to the game. And then, yeah, I'm sure we'll do a hat show at some point during the week to react to it all. And then, obviously, we'll do a separate one. We'll probably do one each week. You know, just then doing the season review. And, you know, we'll go through it like that. And, obviously, T-Boy discusses will be back as well. Obviously, the videos where I discuss transfer news, because a lot of that has been flying around, but I'm waiting more so for the end of the season when that is just the focus on getting players in and out of the door. So, yeah, smash a like on the stream if you haven't already. Do subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. A lot of new subscribers the other day, over the last couple of days. So, yeah, do appreciate that. Do subscribe to the extra channel as well. And, yeah, follow me across all my socials. All of them are in the description. And, yeah. Until tomorrow for me, Sunday for you, Dad. We will see you lot in a bit. So, yeah, take care and peace.